I'm Dr. Dimitrios Kostopoulos, co-founder of Hands-On Diagnostics, and thank you for taking the time today to listen to a concept that many of you may have heard, some others may have not, but I am going to discuss all the aspects about bringing diagnostics in your practice. What are the numbers and what it entails and how you can get there. The title of this presentation is Elevate Your Practice, Maximizing Clinical and Financial Success with Advanced Diagnostic Testing. So brace for lots of information in a short period of time, but I will make sure to address everything and get you to know all that you need to know in this presentation. Let's discuss first the need for diagnostic testing like electromyography, nerve conduction studies. The physical therapy industry is an industry that right now taps only into the revenue dollars for rehab, for the rehabilitation. But there is an entire other section of the healthcare industry, which is the diagnostic testing industry. That is a $750 billion industry right now. And there is a great opportunity for physical therapists to tap into that industry because simply there is a need for accurate diagnostic results. There is a need for more and better access to diagnostic testing. Sometimes patients have to wait 6 and 8 weeks and 12 weeks to get a simple EMG test or ultrasound test. So there is a need for faster testing results. And actually, there are opportunities that help the reimbursement of many providers to go significantly higher because of the incorporation of diagnostic testing in the various facilities. Looking at the clinical need, let's see for a moment how does the clinical importance plays a role in here. So if we look at the various different diagnoses like carpal tunnel syndrome or cubital tunnel or cervical radiculopathy, rotator cuff tear, what are the sensitivities of the various physical examination tests we do? Because if we do not do any other diagnostic tests, we rely specifically for the creation of our treatment plans, specifically and only on the patient symptomatology and on different diagnostic physical examination tests that we do. But let's look at this for a moment. The sensitivity of one of the most prominent tests for carpal tunnel, Pinel sign or Fallon's sign, is 23 to 51%. Really very low sensitivities here. Or look at cervical radiculopathy. Sperling's test has a sensitivity of only 30%. That is very significant. Very low significant sensitivity to consider taking into account these very important pathologies. Let's take a look at this for a moment.
The current model of physical therapy practice involves providing patients with an initial evaluation and then creating a treatment plan based on examination and history. This process doesn't always provide the therapist with the necessary information to precisely identify the patient's problem and create the most effective treatment plan. At Hands-On Diagnostics, we solve that issue by introducing a new paradigm for physical therapy practice that incorporates diagnostic testing into the process. With the diagnostic testing, you'll be provided with objective, highly reliable data that can help create accurate physical therapy treatment plans. And accurate treatment leads to better patient outcomes. To find out if diagnostic testing will benefit your practice, schedule a private meeting today.
Now, let's look what happens if we look at the sensitivities of a variety of diagnostic tests. For example, for carpal tunnel syndrome, sensitivity of EMG can be up to 86%. And actually, the specificity of the test can reach 98%. Look at the sensitivity of MSK ultrasound, 77, 78%. Of course, MRI can have a high sensitivity, but you cannot have an MRI in your physical therapy practice, nor you are able to perform an MRI in your PT practice and bill the insurance companies for the MRI and get paid for the MRI. However, you can do those with EMG and MSK ultrasound. And for other conditions, also look at the cervical radiculopathy that we looked before, 30% sensitivity of Sperling's test, but EMG is 71%. So very significant difference. So I'm going to show you real quick in a couple of different conditions how this plays out. Let's look, for example, without diagnostic testing, carpal tunnel syndrome. You have all of these various physical examination tests you can do. The thenar atrophy with 66%, Tinel sign, as I said, and Fallen sign with sensitivities and specificities as listed here. Meanwhile, with diagnostics, you can have a much, much higher sensitivity and specificity for these conditions. Look at cervical radiculopathy, the difference without any actual diagnostic testing more than the physical examination test, while with diagnostics, there are very significant sensitivities and specificities for the condition. And rotator cuff, look at that. Ultrasound, musculoskeletal ultrasound, and MRI are comparable in both sensitivity and specificity. In other words, you can literally replace an MRI for a rotator cuff tear condition with a musculoskeletal ultrasound. And the only difference is that the musculoskeletal ultrasound is at the point of care. You can do the testing in your office the moment you have the patient on the examination table. You can perform these tests. So very, very big difference. And you can see that actually physical therapy patient management can change over 61% as a result of performing an EMG and MSK ultrasound. And patients, in more than 90%, they agree that they were able better to understand their condition and manage their problems. So these diagnostic tests increase patient participation to their care. So what is the current model of physical therapy? We have the physical therapy evaluation. There is the creation of a treatment plan, treatment intervention, reeval, adjustment of the treatment plan as needed, and continuation of PT, and at some point, end of care or change to a wellness program, and so on and so forth. With this current model of physical therapy, there is limitation on CPT codes. There are only those specific PT codes that you can use. No matter if you are going to apply on a patient a manual therapy technique of Maitland, Kenzie, or Syriax, or any manual therapy technique, still the code you're going to bill is the same, 97140, and you're going to get paid, you're going to get reimbursed from the insurance company the same exact amount of money, no matter what you do. But with diagnostic testing, things are different. What we do here is we incorporate in a specific subset of patients based on specific criteria, diagnostic testing such as EMG and MSK ultrasound, which creates 62% better outcomes, 92% better patient experience, and increased patient participation in their care, and as, I guess, a byproduct or additional benefit, more than 30% in the overall revenue of your practice. And I'm going to show you numbers very specifically on that. So why not many more people are doing this? Well, look at this. In 2013, we ran a nationwide survey through on-target research, which identified that only 3% of physical therapists knew that they were able to perform these tests bill for these tests and get paid for these tests. So it was not until much later, when there was a lot of education to the physical therapy public, to the physical therapy community, from our magazines, our books, our publications, our speaking engagements in the various conferences, and the courses and enlightenment seminars that we do across the country, that this changed. And in 2023, there was a paradigm shift where now 75% of physical therapists are aware, at least, of these tests, and 62% understand the billing process. So this is a major change within this physical therapy profession, and that's great. Let's look now from a financial point of view, rather than a clinical point of view, what exactly happens. There is an ongoing reduction in insurance reimbursements. There is uncertainty on insurance pay. And at the same time, the physical therapy salaries, staff salaries are increasing, and private practices, small private practices, they have to compete with large hospital organizations and physician-owned physical therapy centers. And of course, this tremendous competition in recruiting staff, in maintaining staff in the practice, that creates ongoing rise on the salaries. And you, as a small private practice or a medium-sized private practice, you have to compete with the conglomerates, with the big hospital organizations, that they have big pockets, and they can afford even to pay whatever high amounts are required to bring also H-1B immigrants, physical therapists in the country, while you cannot pay the exuberant fees to bring those practitioners in the country. So you have to pay much, much higher salaries. That leads to ever decreasing profit margins. Benchmark studies show right now that nationwide profit margins run at around 8 to 12%. This is a very, very big problem, and I'll show you why. Let's take a look at this first.
According to data from PT Business Alliance, physical therapy reimbursements are projected to further decrease until the year 2022. Because of that, more and more physical therapy private practice owners settle for profit margins of 10% or less, and they work over 60 hours a week while bringing home less and less money. With physical therapy reimbursements virtually at an all-time low, a solution is needed more than ever. Luckily, Hands-On Diagnostics has created that solution. Incorporating diagnostic testing into your physical therapy practice, you'll improve your patient outcomes and increase your reimbursements by billing new CPT codes. To learn how to get the profits you deserve, schedule a private meeting today.
Let's take a look at what actually happens in terms of expenses and profit margins. This bluish line is revenue, income. And you see that as the years go by, or as the months go by, revenue slightly increases, but it mostly remains flat because there is no increase in reimbursement. Reimbursement either remains the same or decreases. That leads to a flattening of your income. Or the only way you have to increase your income is to increase the number of visits that you have in your practice, to increase your volume. But when you increase volume, you are also increasing expenses because you have to pay personnel to really see these patients, treat these patients, and therefore your expenses are also going up. So while you're starting from a kind of slim profit margin, it can be a 15% profit margin, 12% profit margin, 8%, there is a point in time that because of increased rents, increased interest rates in your mortgages, increase of salaries or supplies, your expenses start becoming higher than your income. And what you do initially, maybe you are decreasing the pay that you take home, or maybe you let go of a couple of staff and you do extra work now. But at the end of the day, this means that you are in a zone of insolvency in your practice. Or if you are not in a zone of insolvency and you are around here with a very tiny profit margin, if you have a profit margin of 3 to 5%, what happens when Medicare drops the rate by 3%? What happens when an insurance carrier drops your reimbursement from $85 to $65? What happens then? All of a sudden, your revenue drops while your expenses increase and you become insolvent. And this is a very, very serious and very difficult situation to be at. Why this happens and how diagnostics is the solution for this situation. Well, this happens because if you take the national average of a physical therapy visit is somewhere in the neighborhood of $95 a visit. And I know that some of you are saying, oh my God, I wish I was getting $95 a visit. I'm only getting 65 or 70 or so on and so forth. But yes, if we take the whole country, the national average PT visit reimbursement is around $95. Well, for that same visit, if you did an EMG combined with a neuro MSK on a patient, the average combination price is $700. In general, across the country, diagnostics pay 3 to 10 times more than a single physical therapy visit. And this is not just a fantasy, it is the reality. And many practices have realized this type of revenues, and they are turning around their revenue at significant percentages than comparing it to before them implementing the diagnostic testing. So let's talk now about the 4 distinct revenue streams that HODS can bring into your practice. The first revenue stream is when we put in a diagnostic component within your physical therapy practice. We teach your staff, we train your staff is performing these tests, and you are able, from your testing your own patients, to bill the insurance companies, and the insurance companies that you already have will reimburse you for performing these tests. So that is revenue stream 1. But that's not all. When you become a member of HODS, you obtain a territory of exclusivity. You become the only HODS-approved diagnostic center in that area. What does this mean? So here is what this means. Around your area, there are physicians and other referral sources that right this moment, they are sending their patients for EMG, nerve conduction studies, musculoskeletal ultrasound. But where do they send them? They send them to their competition. They send them to outside clinics or hospital organizations that perform these tests. And of course, by doing that, they are losing revenue, or let's say at least they are not making revenue from the performance of these tests. But you now, as a HODS member, you come to change that, because we are helping you to create agreements with physicians and other referral sources to perform these tests inside their offices for their patients. And then the physician will bill the insurance company, they will get paid from the insurance company, and they will pay you a negotiated fee for service for testing these patients. And that is independent to the reimbursement from the insurance, and that can serve as a very good income differentiator, because that will serve more as a cash-based practice, because you're going to collect cash, you're going to collect revenue from them regardless of the amount they will get paid from an insurance company. So revenue stream number 3. Now, of course, when you perform testing in all of these outside satellite locations and patients have pathologies that you are able to identify, of course, these patients will be referred back to your clinic for physical therapy services, which means that you will get reimbursed by the insurance companies for performing physical therapy to those patients. And finally, we help you procure a lot of direct access patients through direct to consumer marketing, so that people arrive at your diagnostic center for diagnostic testing aside from physical therapy. We help you promote your physical therapy center in such a capacity where people will arrive at your center to receive diagnostic testing, and only diagnostic testing aside from any physical therapy. So you can bill the insurance, of course, and get paid by the insurance. How does that work? All right, let's look at this.
The HODS prescription to help patients and advance your practice to the future of PT. Massive numbers of people receive information about their back, shoulder, knee, or other problems via social media campaigns. They get directed to www.findbestpt.com, where they choose a HODS-approved diagnostic physical therapy center. Patients arrive and receive a proper evaluation that may include the use of diagnostics such as EMG and ultrasound imaging testing. The physical therapist creates an accurate treatment plan using both data from clinical examination and diagnostics. This plan addresses the patient's real cause of problem with 62% better accuracy. Patients get better faster and they are able to regain back their function. Then they recommend the services to their friends, family, and their doctors. And this is how we create a huge positive impact to society.
I would like to take you to the website findbestpt.com. And on findbestpt.com, we list all of our HODS members do across the country, and we do very, very intense social media marketing campaigns. And this way, we are able to send to the various centers patients by utilizing these campaigns.
What if there was a way to see inside your body, pinpoint the source of your pain, and speed up recovery time? Now you can with diagnostic testing and physical therapy. Advanced nerve testing and muscle ultrasound testing allow your physical therapist to quickly and accurately find the true source of your pain. No more wasting time to see if treatment works. No more guesswork. Your physical therapist will see your problem in real time and create a treatment plan that is proven to be 62% more effective than standard physical therapy. Ask your physical therapist if they offer this cutting-edge service, or locate an approved diagnostic center near you at findbestpt.com.
All right, and now the question is how you will get there, what it will take for you to achieve this and be able to implement this in your practice if you decide that this fits the strategic planning of your practice. So let's look at that. First of all, we have clinical point of view, have clinical training in electromyography nerve conduction studies, and also a fellowship training in musculoskeletal ultrasound. The program is approved by ABPT-RFE, accredited program from APA. Also, a fellowship ultrasound program. It is a point-of-care ultrasound certification academy approved by the AIUM, the American Institute of Ultrasound in Medicine. And of course, the idea is for you to establish with our help, as I'm going to show you also in a moment, an accredited laboratory. So your practice and the satellite locations you create become an accredited diagnostic laboratory where you are authorized to perform all of these tests and get paid for them. So the training for the EMG and nerve conduction studies, there are 4 stages and other requirements that we can discuss more extensively when we meet. And for the ultrasound, there are 3 different courses and also mentorships that you will have to do for both programs. These programs can be completed, the ultrasound program, in as little as 6 to 12 months, and the EMG program, 12 to 18 months, they can be completed. Keep in mind that all of these programs can be completed at your place of employment. You don't have to go anywhere else other than taking the 3-day course. You don't have to go anywhere else. The entire program, the mentorships and everything else is being delivered in your office, in your location where you are practicing. Our training process includes not only online components, but also live components, but also mentorships. This is the most important thing, that you are going to have mentors that will work with you, and this way you can start billing insurance companies literally right after you finish the courses. When it comes to the ultrasound program, after the first 3 courses, you can literally bill insurance carriers. And for the EMG program, 6 weeks after you take the first course, you can bill insurance companies for the testing. So you can start procuring revenue from insurance very, very quickly. There is a mentorship portal where we mentor your report. We help you really become an expert in the area of diagnostics. As I said, you're going to have mentors and consultants. You're going to have an EMG mentor, a musculoskeletal ultrasound mentor from the clinical component, from a clinical point of view, but also you are going to have a business program implementation specialist, a business person who is going to help you develop this and expand it as a business, and a billing consultant who will help you every step of the way with your billing process to make sure that you get paid and get paid well for the billing that you do. There is a roadmap that we have with steps that guide you every step of the way on how to achieve excellence in the area. There are business courses, business consulting, strategic, annual strategy meetings, the creation of an annual strategic plan, and annual symposiums, conferences, networking events that we do, mastermind groups, a leadership academy. This is all part of the program that you get with HODS to have all of the support to create an awesome organization that provides you with significant clinical but also financial benefits. So at the end of the day, your office will become a HODS approved diagnostics center. You are going to have a territory of exclusivity. You will be the only HODS approved diagnostic center where we're going to help you to become an accredited laboratory, board certified in both EMG and musculoskeletal ultrasound. All right. What are the steps? Go to this website, potentialrevenuecalculator.com, and you can plug in the numbers that the calculator will ask you from your office, and you are going to see potential revenue from this. And in the event you start thinking your exit game, in other words, a time where you may want to sell your current organization, this calculator will help you project what the sale value, what the enterprise value of your organization will be right now, and then what it will be when you put in diagnostics. And that is a very, very interesting exercise for you to do. Also, we can do a full return on investment so you can really understand for your specific situation what your overall return on investment will be. And here I'm sharing with you different websites that you can go and get information. Go to handsondiagnostics.com, discoverhods.com, discoverdiagnostics.com, and our phone number is 888-447-6014. My email to contact me directly is dimi@handsonemg.com, and I'll be happy to talk to you at any time. And I'm going to leave you with a little inspiration right now.
Because you're a physical therapist, you're not afraid to face pain. Where many see obstacles, you see opportunities. Because you're a physical therapist, you're always looking for solutions to your patient's pain, dysfunction, or disability. Looking at the surface of a problem will never be good enough for you. You're poised to tackle your patient's problems using every molecule of your body and every modern tool available to heal them. Because you're a physical therapist, you're a scientist and a pioneer. You are willing to step beyond the crowd and lead the way. You dare to dream the future of the profession, a future where advanced diagnostic technologies of ultrasound imaging and electromyography are at your fingertips. Hands-on Diagnostics helps you see your patient's pain. Together, we can create your future of physical therapy now. It's time for diagnostics in physical therapy. Seeing is believing. Join the movement now.